Welcome everybody to Beat the Shift Baseball. This is episode 116 for Tuesday, August 10th. I'm Alex Zui. I'm here today with Ray Estrada and Farbod Markazi. Coming up, we are going to be talking a lot about the wild card races on both the AL side and NL side. They look very different from one another, but baseball the last week has been great. We'll break that down. We will also talk about Brock Holts' incredible, historic pitching performance of all things. This has been the year of position player pitching performances. And we will also celebrate a USA silver medal, which, when you're talking about the Olympics in baseball in the USA, you kind of hope for more, but they got that far. So we'll talk about all that stuff right up ahead. Before we jump into it, I just want to remind you to check us out on social media at Beat the Shift BP on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's the easiest way to get in touch with us. We want to hear what you think about the topics that we talk about. And yeah, that's the place to do it, at Beat the Shift BP. All right, let's get started. Ray, Farbod, how are you guys doing?
Ready to go. Let's do this.
Wasting no time.
I also disagree with your take on the USA getting the silver medal, so I'm ready to talk about that later on.
All right, yeah, we definitely will. I'm up for talking just Olympics recap in general, because
I thought you were just gonna stop it. I'm up for talking. I was like, isn't that the point of what we're doing?
You guys want to talk about baseball sometime? I think we could do it. I think we could pull it off.
Record it too.
Yeah, maybe.
Like
but the Olympics,
episodes.
Yeah, the Olympics in general were just really fun to watch this year. I think I watched more than most past years.
I watched less than most past years because I had no idea when anything was on.
Yes.
Well,
also, you could barely find anything online, which is really dumb.
My job is to watch sports, and I watched less Olympics this year.
Well, you had a different reason for that. I don't know. It was a good Olympics despite the circumstances. But we can get into that a little bit later on. We can bash NBC all we want. In Peacock, yes. But I think the place to start with, of all those things that I brought up in the intro, that really can stand the test of time, will be Brock Holt in his amazing pitching performance, coming in a blowout, pitching for the Rangers. If you didn't know, Brock Holt is on the Rangers right now, and he pitched a perfect inning against the
10 pitches
against the A's, and some 10 pitches they were. He registered the slowest pitch that just ever, and
slowest
also
strike ever for sure.
Also, yeah, and
it's the
for a
slowest pitch ever. It's the slowest pitch ever thrown during a game since pitches began getting tracked by current technology in 2008.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say ever at this point, because there would probably be record of somebody just lofting rainmakers towards home plate. And
it's gotta have happened at some point though, when you had like one pitcher per team and he threw like 70 innings in a day.
Yeah. It was,
I don't know though.
It was 31 miles an hour, but I don't want us to slight the fact that he threw a 34 miles an hour one either, too, and then a 77 mile an hour fastball. So, I mean,
differential. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, dude. There's a reason he had the perfect inning. I'm reading this article right now. It said, considering Holt had a career 13.5 ERA coming into the game, this was all pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. That's pretty comical. But yeah, 34, 31, 77. Brock Holt. Yeah. Angels need you in the pen.
This is according to a tweet from Codify Inc. That 31.1 mile an hour pitch came in at 630 RPMs and had just shy of 25 feet of drop.
Yeah, man.
25 feet.
I think that's the thing. You're talking about even on a day where a pitcher could have, no shoulder, no elbow strength at all, it's just complete lead. I think an adult man would be able to huck a ball in there faster than that. I was curious just watching those pitches come in and thinking, you know how in Little League or in Pony League they have machine pitch and it's just a little catapult that they set up about 40 feet from home plate and it just lofts the ball in there. And I was curious to see like how hard do those things throw? And the range of those machines, I think they go as low as about 20 miles an hour, the high teens, but up to 45. So I imagine most of the time when coaches are setting those up for machine pitch games, they're lofting lobs in there faster than Brock Holt was lobbing Major League Baseballs up to Major League hitters. Because it's really hard to get the trajectory right when you're talking about having that much arc. It's so much different than just effortlessly
It's a
lobbing
grenade
a ball.
toss.
Yeah, it requires technique. He practices it. He was definitely not going out there
And the
trying that
fact
for
that it
the
was a
first time.
strike.
Exactly. It takes a lot of precision and a lot of technique to be
It-
able to do that.
And it's also having umpired, like, 10, 11-year-old games. It's that infuriating stuff of like there's so much drop on this ball that yes, it crossed like at the shoulders, but it ends at the kid's like thighs. It's like, okay, just hit that ball.
Yeah. If it goes through the entire strike zone from top to bottom, I think that should be a strike. They should adjust the rules to make that the case.
I do have a question. I went on a bit of a tangent just thinking about this.
Mhm.
Normal things that fall from 25 feet hurt. And you know when like a catcher hit or any like when you're playing catch or something and you catch the ball in that spot of your glove, it just stings a little bit. Do you think it hurt? It was 25 feet still. Like
Like-
if
Like,
if
do you
it
think
had
it
that
hurt?
much of a
Do you
drop,
think it hurt the baseball, or what are you
the
asking?
catcher.
Wait.
Like, do you think it had at least some of that sting that like
But like you can toss a ball straight up 25 feet in the air and it doesn't hurt when it hits the
Yeah.
top of your glove.
You ever just thrown a
Like,
ball
that's
straight
what
up in
this
there and caught
essentially
it?
is.
You ever caught a fly ball?
No, I was a pitcher. I was holding
Oh,
it
yeah.
out of the way.
Yeah.
We're dealing with a PO here.
Yeah,
when
fun-
The catcher throws it back a little too hard, then he's like, "Ow."
Yeah. Dude,
Yes,
fun fact.
exactly.
Fun fact: baseballs have traveled above the 25-foot threshold of height in other cases. Just not usually from the pitcher to the catcher.
Yes.
I think
Hey,
I think you
just
might
a-
wanna
I've
rethink that
seen
one.
it from the catcher to the pitcher before.
Hey, the logic made sense in my head, okay?
It is that time of night, I suppose. I think that's about all we have for Brock Holt. I'm just waiting for his next outing or for the next memorable position
Ready for
player
the next Brett Phillips outing.
and just
What's
anything.
What's his career ERA now? I have to find this out.
Well, it's
Because
it's
if
a
he came
whole
in with
inning,
a 13.5,
a whole scoreless inning better. So
Yeah, it's got to be down pretty significantly.
I think so. At this
it's
point,
a 7.71 now.
hey, congrats,
Yeah,
congrats.
Nice.
He had 2 games in 2020 pitched. He went inning and a third, gave up 5 hits and 2 runs and a home run. So he's given up 2 runs in two and a third. Like, all right. He's a career 8.75 FIP.
Yeah, there you go. He's not. I don't think he's using the sticky
So
stuff
actually
either. So
what you're saying is that the underlying numbers don't support that he should have a 7.71.
You know, I don't want to get into that with Brock Holt. I think we just should admire the beauty of how he pitched that game. Yeah, we don't need to go all baseball savant on Brock Holt.
You brought up the FIP.
I did, and I'm sorry for that.
rough.
There's a dog.
Roo. All right.
As my
Well,
dog.
I have to end this with a bit of a ranking discussion here. So, I would say the 3 most memorable. 3 is a lot, mind you. Most memorable position player pitching moments of the year would be this one with Brock Holt. You mentioned Brett Phillips, and then, of course, Yermin Mercedes lighten up Williams Astudillo, also lobbing in pitches, and I just want to know like where do you rank these three, in what order do you put them in terms
These
of
are so
standing
tough
the
to
test
rank.
of time?
Yeah, because they're so like amazing in their own ways.
Yeah, I would still. I've put Brett Phillips's personality and everything he did there on a pedestal above everything else. As great as this 31 miles an hour pitch is, and as impressive as it is, um, the fact that like listening to other podcasts and actual major leaguers and teammates of Brett Phillips talking is like that's how he actually pitches. Like he wasn't trying to make a joke of with his motion or his windup to home plate. That's actually how he throws the he envisioned him how his windup would be from the mound. And I think that personality just puts him slightly higher than 31 miles an hour. I don't really consider the Yermin Mercedes thing because every time I think of that, I just get mad at Tony La Russa, and I don't like being mad.
Hey, but he
Um,
has a law degree, so like
bro, he's a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer brother.
Exactly. Um, so that's at least my rankings. I have Brett Phillips, then Brock Holt, and then Yermin Mercedes going deep.
Okay, Ray, what about you?
I still hold Brett Phillips just like how amazing the whole like
It
thing
was an
around that was.
experience. It
Yeah,
wasn't just like an a scoreless inning. It was an experience from Brett Phillips.
but I'm tempted to put the Mercedes moment. I'm gonna isolate it from all the shitstorm that came after it. Only because I think it's more impressive how far Humi can hit a ball thrown that softly
Fair.
at like 44 miles an hour than the fact that Brock Holt kind of just like mastered the lob shot. So I
But if
think
you're
I'm gonna put Mercedes at 2.
but if you're talking about impressive, you could also argue that it's human. It should be humanly impossible. Is that a word? To throw a 31 mile an hour lob and make it a strike
I'm
still.
not saying it's not impressive, but like it is kind of just like basically he basically threw a fly ball to the catcher.
Yeah.
And we've all done that. Like Yermin Mercedes hit a ball that was 45 miles an hour, uh, like 400 feet,
It's like 400.
and that is
Wasn't it like 460 feet? It was like a.
was
It
it
was.
that far?
I'm gonna look it up now. I remember it was just. It was a bomb. It was
I know it
not
was a
just like.
bomb to
It
like
wasn't
left
just a
center. So yeah,
400-foot, home run, but
That that's just pure dad strength.
yeah. I think hitting a ball that soft that far is a little impressive than like just mastering a 31 mile an hour toss.
okay. So you rank you rank well, I guess it's Astudillo's outing. Astudillo, Phillips, Holt.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go Phillips, Astudillo, Holt.
Oh, Phillips above it. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Phillips is number 1.
Yeah, you're looking at three different levels of memorability here, because Astudillo's outing in Mercedes and everything that came after that will be relevant in any unwritten rules discussion going forward, like forever. It'll always be referred back to, and like, remember when this happened. You have, in Brock Holt's case, just a straight up trivia question, for which I don't know how long it'll last. Somebody might just go out there and try to beat his record, but the slowest pitch ever recorded, yeah, that's going to be relevant as long as somebody's going to hold it. And right now it's Brock Holt. And then you have Brett Phillips, who will probably have the most reenactment value of any of these, because you know that there's goofy kids out there, you know, the new wave of baseball fans who, when they're messing around with different pitching motions and whatever, the Brett Phillips, I think, will stand the test of time, because nobody throws like that, but it's just hilarious and people will probably want to try it. And you go out there and like, hey, that's Brett Phillips. So three
It's
different
also a
levels
related.
there.
It's also relatability factors. Like, what would you do if I just gave you a baseball and I told you, "Hey, we're down by a lot of runs. Go in this major league game and just have fun." Like that's just what you just like the way that personality was. Like he didn't care that he wasn't really giving up much. He was just having fun with it.
Hmm. They were definitely having fun with it for sure. I guess I didn't really give an order. I will say Astadio, Phillips, Holt in terms of my rankings. All right. Well, that was an important
That's just your
discussion.
bias of Ostadio.
I don't think it was. Because I'll agree with Ray in saying that the ball that was hit was was just that impressive. So, and not to mention all the unwritten rules impact that comes along with it. Um, let's go ahead and move on from this. This is a great discussion, a very important one to have. Glad we let off the show with that. But we'll start moving into some of the more playoff race relevant discussion, and we'll start on the NL side actually here with an NL. Really, the NL West is running the show, just in the National League and maybe in baseball at this point. You could argue too, with the Giants playing as well as they have been, the Dodgers, who are just ridiculously stacked, and then the Padres, who were coming into the year were intended to rival the Dodgers. Whether or not they got there at the start of the season is beside the point. They're still a really good team, and right now they would be the two wild card teams, and of course the West. So they would have all or three playoff teams of those three out there. The Dodgers had a very important series against an even more important rival from a few years ago. Really is where the issues stem, but the Astros and Dodgers last week with their new acquisitions might have been the height of regular season baseball, just from a drama and excitement standpoint. So Ray, I'm just gonna ask you, as somebody who was there, who was at Max Scherzer's debut, what that energy was like, and if you want to translate that into the kind of implications that it has on this season, you can. But if you want to just talk about how awesome it was, that's fine too.
Yeah, having never been to a like MLB playoff game, definitely the most like playoff atmosphere, most electric atmosphere, because it's just, and I think being at the second game too, because the first game is a lot of delays with inflatable trash cans on the field and stuff. This was like everybody kind of honed in. Altuve had a golden sombrero that was amazing. Max Scherzer just striking out 10 in his Dodger debut and curtain call and all that. It was just awesome, and I mean they kind of laid it dead in the next game against the Angels, but it's that
Woohoo.
kind of win. It's that kind of win that when they haven't gained a game on the Giants in like almost 2 weeks, because every time the Giants lose, the Dodgers lose, and every time the Giants win, the Dodgers win. So that they literally cannot have two different results on the same night, it appears. But it's something like that can propel you to win. Instead of winning 4 out of every 6 games coming down, you're winning the 5 out of 6 and all that stuff. So adding Scherzer is huge, and that series was, it being an isolated 2-game series with off base on both sides, I think helped. And yeah, that atmosphere was amazing.
Yeah, I can only imagine, and I can't imagine there was much toxicity at this point, because I'd find it hard to believe that Astros fans came out in droves. I think it was more just the Dodgers piling on the
No, yeah,
Astros hatred.
The Astros fans didn't talk much. They came out in their
Probably for the
in like
best.
jerseys and got booed mercilessly every time they walked by, but that was about it.
So you're
Yeah, I lost my voice, suffice to say, at that game.
so you're telling me what I see on social media, because I saw a video of a Dodgers fan like throwing a beer at an Astros fan. So you're telling me that toxicity isn't representative of the entire fan base, because social media definitely makes it seem like all Dodgers fans were doing was trying to beat up on those one
Well, the ones
Astros
that
fan
get filmed
per section.
are the ones that get filmed are the Dodger fans who are idiots.
Yeah,
And then
but
yeah, it, yeah. And there's also a lot of dumbass Astro fans who try to get back at Dodger fans for stuff.
I mean, overall, there's just dumb fans.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
at
we were
every
talking about this
game.
before.
Yeah.
Twitter is a cesspool.
Yeah, like it happens. It just was an electric time to watch, even on television or wherever you watch your games. If it's not blacked out, which the MLB likes to do. Um, I don't know. That Scherzer outing was so much fun to watch for me, and I can't imagine how much more fun it was for you being there, and being a Dodgers fan. Scherzer's probably my favorite pitcher in baseball. So like just watching that so much fun.
Yeah, and then you have the Dodgers who seem unbeatable, and as you mentioned, as great as they are, the Giants just will not lose games, especially on days when the Dodgers win. They cannot seem to make up any ground. And it really is amazing because you can. I'm going to go ahead and make the comparison across leagues here, where you have the Giants who have just exceeded all expectations with the roster that they have on the National League side, and the Red Sox to this point in the season really have done the same. They had no expectations of being great coming into the season. This was supposed to be like a regroup year for them, um, and they've had a recent slide. They've kind of come back down to earth, and the Giants have seemingly just gone in the opposite direction and continued to take off even further with the help of
Well,
Chris
whatever
Bryant and among others. But man,
whatever juju goes on in San Francisco on years that they're good, like other teams need to figure that out. I I don't know. This team just based on how what they were expected to do and everything. Like some people are calling them like the team of destiny. The Dodgers are probably the first ever actual like on paper super team in MLB history. And they're just struggling to find ways to get back up there. like it, everyone assumes like it's going to happen at some point, but that's what that's what we said 2 weeks ago, and it just didn't happen. So um, if the Dodgers go like another 2-3 weeks with the same thing of they lose when the Giants lose, and when they win when the Giants win, Ray, are you gonna be able to call the Giants a team of destiny for 2021 because for some reason it's just meant to be?
I mean, Team of Destiny is a bit out there. They'd have to have some like really stupid breaks. They just seem to be a good team.
They they seem like, I mean, this is kind of cliche and kind of dumb of me to say, but like they've all like obviously none of them are star players other than you could make an argument for Chris Bryant, but they just all play together. Like they are the epitome of what a winning team is because
They
like
are like the Cardinals. They are incredibly boring.
yeah, they're
But
like there's nothing that's like sexy about that team, but they just make it work. Cause one guy's down, the another guy's gonna pick him up. Like I don't know, like the Giants are just like I said when I first started getting on this soapbox. Whatever juju they got going on in San Francisco, other teams need to figure out how to acquire it.
yeah, and I really don't know what it is other than just they're playing really good baseball. Is all it comes down to, and that momentum carries. They've held it up after all this time, and I think a lot of that has to do with them having a good mix of really solid veteran players combined with some younger spark plug type of pieces. Did you guys know that the Giants lead all of Major League Baseball in home runs this season? The Giants.
wait,
I'm waiting.
that's that is absolutely dumb.
Yeah, it really is, especially when you consider that their team leaders in homers It's Crawford and Yastrzemski, who are tied with 18 homers. That's the team. That's the team leader in home runs. Is 18 for the team that has hit the most homers in baseball this year. That's pretty unbelievable, isn't it? In the ballpark that they play in, with the lineup that they have,
Yeah.
and again, nobody has hit 20 home runs for them.
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's not one like, oh, that's your go-to guy. That's your stud. It's like everyone's just being good.
Everyone's
Yeah,
contributing.
Like Posey's been probably I mean, I'm not looking at the stats in front of me, but like the offensive star, but he only plays once every like 3 days.
Mm-hmm. So, do you guys want to take a guess? See if you can name every Giants player who has 10 or more homers.
Oh, 10 or more homers.
Yeah, there are 8 of them.
So you gave me 8. So you gave me Crawford and
Yaz?
Yastrzemski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 leaders. There's 6
Posey.
more. Yep.
Longo?
No, not Longo. Longo's been injured too long.
He's been hurt, yeah.
Brandon Belt? Has he been injured?
He has been injured, but he is 15 homers.
That was okay. Well,
Does Chris Bryant count?
He's not one of them. He has 1 Giants home run.
Oh, so okay.
Yep.
Barry
not trying to
Bonds.
think of their freaking roster.
Barry Bonds.
Does Casale have more than 10?
No, he only has 5.
Wow.
Who plays on that team?
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Lamont Wade's been hot, but he doesn't have more than 10 home runs.
He has 13 homers.
What?
Yeah. He's been hitting for a lot of power.
Wilmer Flores.
Yep,
Wait,
that's
is he
another
still a
one.
Giant?
He is.
Okay.
He is still a Giant, and he's got 14 homers for them.
Darren Ruff.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm amazed that you got that one. 13 homers for Darren Ruff.
I've watched a decent amount of Giants games recently,
Mhm.
but I still don't remember.
There's
team.
There's one more. I can go ahead and give it to you.
Has La Stella played
No,
enough games to get?
he is
Okay.
not. He has 1 homer with them in just 30 games.
I feel
about-
like he's been out. Yeah, he's been out a lot of the year.
Jeff Samardzija.
Yep, that's him. The last one would be Alex Dickerson, who has 12.
Oh,
But it's
the most generic baseball player of all time.
it's just a lot of role
More generic than
players,
Corey Dickerson.
a lot of platoon role players who are
have
hitting
you-
really
like,
well.
Dude, Alex Dickerson looks like the base creative player if you made him left-handed, and that would be the show, because it's no wristbands, like a very generic haircut, and just,
I'm
like,
on my way to look
straight
that
white
up.
pants. Like legit, he looks so dumb out there.
Yeah. And that's the Giants for you. That's the Giants this year. This is the team that is holding off the Dodgers. And
They took 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee this weekend. On
and in a
both
really
wins are
really
comeback
good
wins.
in a really really tight series. And one of them the Giants were basically handed the win
Yes.
when Garcia couldn't come down with the fly ball on the warning track, but they made him pay for that one for sure. That is the team right there. And the significance of this cannot be overstated in that yes, it is more than likely at this point that all 3 of these teams will be in the playoffs, with the Padres probably not coming out in first place here realistically, with Tatis still out especially.
The Reds are making a push for that second wild card spot.
The Reds are close there, but you look at the quality of these NL West teams, it'd be really hard to imagine anything happening. But
the Padres seem to forget to win against teams that are not named the Dodgers, so
the Padres do have
their
their issues. But the importance of winning the division cannot be overstated, because that is the difference between having to play a 1-game playoff against one of these other, like in all likelihood, really good division rivals for a wild card playoff.
Well,
versus
or a
in my mind,
5-game series against the winner of that division rival.
but the
playoff.
but
a
the
5-game
5-game
series is so much different.
yeah, in a 5-game series, even though like you could be walking in and like your team could be cold, the other team could be hot, and they could take 2 games. Like you still have a chance. You have more than one game. Baseball, we know what happens, and I think, and I was on the podcast last week, but what I was going to say about the Scherzer and Turner deals, I think that's the Dodgers saying, like, bro, we need to win this division because if we don't, we're so confident in winning the wild card game. But baseball's a crapshoot sometimes. If we have this roster, this payroll, and we are a wild card team and lose in the wild card game and aren't like moving on, getting deep in the playoffs, making the World Series, winning the World Series, that's bad. I think that's one of the reasons Dodgers were so aggressive in not only the guys, not only like actually, I think that's why they were so aggressive in just getting the guys of the caliber of Scherzer and Trey Turner.
I
That's one of
mean,
the reasons.
the goal is to win a World Series, and you try to take the best players available to fit your team. And the Dodgers are the only team that is willing / able to do that on a consistent basis.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not discounting them.
No, yeah.
I'm just saying. I
They
think
they understand the
on a
importance of winning the division and not just making it to the playoffs via the wild
exactly
card.
and losing like I just think at this point with their playoff history, winning the World Series last year with the roster they have right now, the payroll and everything, if they were to make the wild card and lose in a 1-0 game to the Padres or the Giants, whichever one it ends up being, that's just sad. That's embarrassing.
Mhm.
With how good on paper, at least they're how good on paper they're supposed to be, and I don't even know if that's like it's a testament to the Giants, but also, man, y'all didn't perform the way you're supposed to,
Oh,
and
I
that's
think this is
baseball. But still,
100% a testament to the Giants more than anything. 'Cause the Dodgers have played very good
Yeah.
baseball. They have a very
The
good
Dodgers, the
record.
Dodgers are having a weird like World Series hangover type year, especially with like the offense in key situations. They're 1-12 or 13 in extra inning games. And they still have the second best record in baseball behind the Giants.
Yeah, but I agree though that if the Giants have a different season, if the Giants have a season like they were expected to have, and San Diego, to all their credit, is putting enough pressure on the Dodgers to where they maybe would have done this too, um, if the Giants were a non-factor here. But I think there's a world where if they're not trailing at this point in the season, they go ahead and say, we're going to keep our assets, and I think that we still have the best team in baseball by far, and we like our chances with the starters that we have, and they roll at the deadline, like maybe add some other, not earth shattering pieces, and keep their prospect depth. I really do think that the Giants are the reason for the Dodgers
I
making the moves that they did.
yeah I mean
and all the
that's
injuries the Dodgers have had.
I think Uwe, I'm kind of on that same boat with you. A couple days ago, I was reading an article that said, uh, like this is their record then, not now, but I mean not the Angels. The Dodgers are 24-29 against teams with a winning record at that point. Like, yeah, they're 22 games over 500, but like you said, right, they're they're kind of having a legit World Series hangover type year, and I mean, there's injuries, there's just playing poorly, or guys not living up to what how their expectations of themselves as a team, as individual players too. It's just there's 2 months left in the season. I think just saying, I think like they had to go out and become extra aggressive with those trades to win that division. The division is incredibly important because I mean, we talked about it. One of these 3 teams, all these teams are going to make it, but one of these 3 teams isn't going to uh, make it past the wild card. And I feel like that, I don't know, with the Dodgers, it's just going to seem the most like a failure compared to the Giants or Padres if they lose in the wild card game.
Yeah, there's always
Yeah,
that
I agree
weight.
with that.
They're the reigning champs, and they spend more than anybody. They are as well oiled a machine as exists in baseball, so the expectations are of course going to be highest for them. what a division to watch. This is going to be probably the division to watch down the stretch. And if it's not this one, then it's the AL East. Because, oh my god, what a freaking bloodbath. As a Yankees fan, I hate it. I kind of like it, but I hate it because this is a division. Here you go, where three of the top four teams, Tampa Bay, New York, and Toronto, are all 8-2 in their last 10 games, have been playing great since the All-Star break, and have not moved the needle at all, other than, outside of the Red Sox, who are the other team in that mix, and they've gone 2-8 in that stretch. They've come back down to earth, as I mentioned earlier, but they were way ahead, so they're still in second place right now. All three of those teams really, with the exception of the Rays taking over the division lead, haven't moved the needle at all. Oh yeah, and the A's have also gone 8-2 in their last 10, and they still hold a wild card spot. So the fact that there's four teams in this one division that all reasonably could end up with four of the seven best records in the AL. Like within reason, that's a pretty reasonable expectation. And two of them probably won't make the playoffs because the A's are playing so well too. And that's wild to me. Just the how lopsided everything is here. Um and it really can't be overstated how important winning the division is when all of these wild card teams are just terrifying with the prospects of just how good they are in their own ways. They're different than these NL West powerhouses, which to their own credit are just really well built teams. But I don't know. I feel like with a lot of these teams, it's more just they have one element to their roster that's just particularly scary, and lights out in a different way than others. That's especially scary for a one game play in.
But both wildcards will be fascinating because, presumably, unless the Reds just go off and the Padres struggle, it's going to be a division rival, two good teams that know each other well, kind of randomness game in the NL. And then in the AL, I mean, it could be division rivals if the A's get surpassed or whatever happens. But it's literally just like these two teams are super chaotic with like what they're good at. So this wildcard game, much like a lot of the recent ones that the Yankees have played in general, are going to be just chaotic as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like with the Yankees in particular, in the issues that their starting pitching has really gone through, the ups and downs of this year. Especially with them, the wild card game is the Garrett Cole game for the Yankees. So, of all of the teams that could be making a wild card appearance, that is probably the one you least want to encounter for one reason or another. Yeah, what were you gonna say, Farbod?
I was just going to say that we're talking about how important the divisions are right now. What about an impromptu pick? 2 months out. Who's going to win the East?
Who's gonna win the East? I really
Tampa.
don't see Tampa losing the grip. Yeah.
You talk about a team of destiny. Tampa feels like that team.
Oh, 100%.
They lead the league with 35 comeback wins, and not just like, oh, they were down 1-0 in the first or whatever. Like, they have come back from huge deficits.
Yeah,
a lot this year.
Dude, I mean, they're not only like a well constructed team, they're solid. Like, I can't not root for them with Nelly Cruz there now. And
yeah,
more than anything, these guys are all in more than we've seen them in the past. Like, their deadline, they didn't finish some of these deals, but at least it came out after that they offered Tyler Glasnow before the news came out about his Tommy John for Chris Bryant. They were trying to get that bat in that lineup for this stretch
for
run.
Kimbrel.
Yeah, like
Kiermaier was on the table for Bryant.
They were just there the entire that's just I've had the Rays, and I think the Rays are gonna win it. Um, I feel like the Red Sox are what everyone thought would happen to the Giants, and eventually, with how hot the Jays are, how exciting they are, it's going to be more so a Rays, Yankees, Blue Jays thing. Obviously, the Red Sox can turn it around. Getting Chris Sale back can help, but I don't think that's going to be enough for them to compete with the other teams. The Yankees are finally feeling good about themselves now after half a season of just being the most confusing team in baseball. Um, but yeah, I picked the
They
Rays.
still are.
Oh, 100%. That game today, oh my god, that
They
was the
blew
most
4
frustrating game I've
saves
ever watched.
and won.
Uh, um, okay, so what about the NL West that we talked about this?
Oh well.
I'm too invested in the Dodgers to say they won't do it, so I'm kind of abstaining from this. I don't want to make a call.
Yeah. No.
Well,
I think the Dodgers is the right call here too, because the Giants. Well, it really depends on how many more times the Giants and Dodgers are going to play each other, and I don't know that. I really
I think
don't.
they only have one more series left, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not quite done with what I wanted to say about the AL East though either.
I'm not saying we're done. I just wanted to bring that up.
No, that's completely fine. You
6.
kind of glossed over it very quickly with the Blue Jays and them looking like a powerhouse team. They really, especially right now at this moment, have the best lineup in baseball. Like, sorry, Dodgers, but if you're just looking at the quality of hitters they have going right now, like yeah, the Dodgers have like MVPs for days and whatever, but the Blue Jays are just firing on all cylinders right now. They have George Springer back at the top of the lineup, who is the second consecutive Player of the Week winner. He's going absolutely nuts, and that's adding basically an MVP caliber bat right into the middle of that already deadly row of like Semien, Guerrero, Bichette, and Teoscar Hernandez, which is, right now they're back in their home ballpark. They have the mojo, and like you said, they're probably the team that I'm most scared of in this division, because the Rays and the Red Sox, like yeah, they just play really fundamentally sound baseball and have really good bullpen pitch. They're not going to throw a lot of games away um, late in the game, but the Blue Jays are terrifying in a totally different way, and I can see them making a legitimate push
They're
here. It's really congested.
The Blue Jays have been through the most out of any team off the field this year, with the fact that they've had to play in 3 different ballparks. That
For their home park.
the
Yeah.
resilience, yeah, the resilience is there on its own. I personally think maybe this is just whenever the Blue Jays are good. I feel like Rogers Center in Toronto is one of the most electric venues for baseball. Do you remember this feels a lot like 2015 when they went out and got David Price and Jose Reyes or Tulo.
Hmm.
No, Tulo, yeah.
They got too
They
low.
went out,
Right.
yeah. They went out and got David Price and Tulo, and like the first game Price pitched, like I don't think a single fan was sitting down. Obviously, that Bautista's home run in the playoffs was just like the camera was shaking. Um, when that team's good, they have the entire country behind them, and it's just more momentum and more fun for everyone. So I'm just rooting for them to overtake the Red Sox. Um, but yeah,
Hmm.
they're pretty damn good.
Yeah. George Springer with one of the most iconic home runs of the regular season to this point, capping off. They were
Oh
they
yeah,
were down 8-4. I think the comeback was even larger. It might have been 7-1, 7-2 at some point, against the Red Sox, the team that we mentioned, and they completed that thanks to a George Springer go ahead 3-run home run in the eighth inning off of the Red Sox closer, and that's crazy. This is the time of year now where you're gonna like look at the box scores day to day, and you're gonna see games that are gonna make your eyes widen, and sometimes it's going to be games like that, and sometimes it's going to be games like this Yankees Royals game where there's 4 blown saves in consecutive innings, and they still end up getting the win somehow. Yeah, and sometimes it's going to be just like crazy comeback wins because it's all about resilience at this point in the season and how much you have left in the tank. So I'm ready to see them all empty it out and see what they have left. And I guess Mariners and Angels like picked a bad year to be just okay because that is an uphill battle for sure. Sorry to you AL West teams.
That's okay. 2022 World Series.
There's
We
always
got
next
this.
year. Yeah, man. I think that's gonna wrap up our discussion on all of this, all of the wild card race stuff. I will be returning to that probably each week moving forward to some extent. And yeah, what else we got? Some other random news bits here. This week there will be a what are these called? Like special event, special venue games. It will be the Field of Dreams game on Thursday, correct? It's just one, and it's just one game. It's not an entire
Yeah,
series.
Yeah,
just
they
one game.
fly. Basically, they fly in if there's no weather issues or anything. They fly in, play the game, leave,
Yeah,
and
was
they go
that the
back to
plan
Chicago.
originally, or were they gonna do a series
Yeah,
originally? I can't
I
remember.
think it was. I think
It
that was
was
the
one
plan.
game.
Oh,
Yeah, they go back to Chicago to finish off the series after.
Yeah, but they do have an off day the next day. Those 2 teams.
okay.
Yeah, it's just extra travel time, so
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that'll be the White Sox and the Yankees, right?
Yes. And
Going
they'll
at
be in like old timey uniforms, so
Ooh.
Did you see those uniforms?
those are sick.
I think the White Sox are sick, but I've heard on a podcast say like the Yankees is just like kind of dumb. But like at the same time, it's kind of just the fact that the Yankees have been wearing the same thing for 100 years. So you can't really have old timey uniforms if all you've done is just add a swoosh to your uniform and made it Nike.
You can just
Since
reduce.
then,
They
You can
did
just
take away the
reduce the
black armband
saturation.
on the left sleeve.
Yeah.
Not to get all technical.
You can just reduce the saturation of the colors in the jerseys to make them feel more old
like
timey.
dial
on
down.
on one hand it looks pretty cool. On another hand, it looks like the non-authentic jerseys and T-shirts that are sold at Target.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not actually
they
going
should
out there
have to
just
wear stuff just as baggy as they wore it in like the 19th.
baggy,
Absolutely.
just
I
hot
think that would
cloth.
make it good.
Full, yeah, 100% cotton.
I think that would make it good.
Oh my god.
Old timey, old gloves.
Yep. It'll be a cool game though. It'll be a cool venue for sure. And I think there still will be the Williamsport
Yeah, Little League
Major
Classic
League
or whatever.
game. Yeah, the Little League Classic in a couple weeks.
The Field of Dreams game, I believe, is going to be on Fox on Thursday.
Mm.
So the soothing sounds of Joe Buck will accompany that game, I believe.
Hey, he hosted Jeopardy today.
What the heck?
Yeah, and also I heard that that Jeopardy's like their full-time hosts. They said they want them to quit whatever job is they're currently doing. So hopefully Joe.
Come
Buck gets
on,
that
Joe
gig.
Buck.
Did you steal that joke from James Holzhauer
Yes.
on Twitter? Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure.
Does he also hate
Yes.
hate Joe Buck? I don't hate Joe
Apparently.
Buck, by the way. It's just kind of fun to hate Joe Buck. Like I don't actually hate him.
No.
He's a very average broadcaster. Like,
He's
a good guy.
He is very funny in the show Brockmire.
He has
I don't know if
improved
any
over
of
the
you have
past 5
seen.
years.
I don't know if any of you have seen Brockmire, but Joe Buck is great in Brockmire. He's a recurring guest character in that as himself.
I have not.
You guys
No.
need to.
He has gotten better over the past 5 years. I think I watched some like old World Series highlights or whatever, and he some very underwhelming like calls.
Mhm.
I don't mean to. I mean, I'm going to be a Joe Buck apologist. Like, people don't like him for several different reasons. But when we had the chance to talk to him, those same reasons came up in the questions we asked of him. Like, how do you deal with the hate? He was like, honestly, like, I know some people just think that my broadcasting isn't up to what their level is, but all I do is like I call the play and I want to bring the fan from home into the stadium, like through their television, to like feel like this, hear the sights and sounds. So he's not going to talk that much, but that's my tangent. I don't think he's as bad as a broadcaster as people say, but like Uwe said, it's kind of just fun to hate on Joe Buck.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, Joe Buck the person and like kind of the mentor to like young broadcasters
sorry,
is great.
sorry, Joe.
But like, and I that's kind of a code among broadcasters. You kind of let the fans do the service.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, he has some weird calls. Just the way he hangs on like,
Eh,
just the way he hangs on certain syllables. It's hilarious.
it's a hard thing to do. We can quickly shift the trash talking of Joe Buck back over to where we started the show in trash talking NBC and just talking about the Olympics a little bit. We can talk Olympic baseball and the recap of that. It's weird to say the USA or any team that plays in a final match that they win the silver medal. They really lost their way to the silver, but they won other games, so good for them.
I mean, they
You
only
say
lost
like,
to Japan.
yeah, you said at the beginning of the show, at the beginning of the podcast that wish they got more. There's only one level higher, and yeah, in no world would it be possible for the USA to go out and field their best team and have like what the NBA has sometimes with like their dream team,
Mhm.
because
I
of just
mean,
how baseball season lines up.
they could. I just doubt that the fine relations between the MLBPA and MLB will allow them to have like an Olympic break.
See, like I'm not gonna even just mention that just because I think that puts you through a whole different that sends you into another can of worms of like even if that happened, which teams would say, all right, yeah, but yeah, guys, we're in the middle of our season. You guys can go risk injury in the playoffs. I mean, in the Olympics or whatever. But not opening that can of worms. I I think it's fine that they got the silver instead of the gold. I mean, you look at the team that they fielded. The fact that they got there is pretty great. Japan won it on their home turf, which is like you have to be happy for people for that country for that team. Um, but yeah, like there's just the Team USA is just never going to be able to field their the best nine in the world on any given night. We're gonna have the Scott Kazmirs out there, um, pitching their hearts out for Team USA, and that's just how it's going to be. But the fact that I don't even know if this is our B team, it might be our C or D team, won the silver is like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
And shout out former
Yeah.
Angels manager Mike Scioscia for leading Team USA to the silver.
One thing I do like and would like to see more of actually is young guys who are not 40-man rosters
Absolutely.
play. Shane Baz and I believe Simeon was Richardson, who was traded while he
Rated
was at the Olympics. Um,
Tristan
they were
Cassis.
there, which is nice to see. Julio Rodriguez played for the Dominican Republic, who won bronze, and yeah, it's just these young guys, kind of how it used to be. It used to be college players, especially when it had to be amateurs. It used to be college players and minor leaguers who went over. I think that's a very interesting way of going about things and mixing in some like former major leaguers who are either free agents or not 40-man currently.
yeah. No, I think it's amazing. Still, like I say, there's lofty expectations, but that's it's a
Yeah,
great achievement. Nothing is
I do
given; everything is earned,
yeah.
especially
Also,
at that stage.
looking at it now, um, was Masahiro Tanaka's a major influence of his decision to leave the MLB, the fact that he was going to be able to play in the Olympics?
I don't know. I wonder if he's been directly asked that at any point because it might have had something to do with it.
That's actually a good
Yeah,
point.
Mhm.
I was about to say probably not, but yeah, no. I don't
yeah,
know. You should ask him.
because the MPB had an Olympic break, so that's why
Yes.
he and many other Japanese players were able to play. I watched the bronze medal game, uh, and a big comeback by not a big comeback, but like a 4-run inning in a in the 8th down one by the Dominican Republic is awesome. But I just feel so bad for Korean players because of that military service rule, where the only people who are exempt of the requirement by South Korea to serve in the military for 18 months between the ages of 18 and 35 is an Olympic medal. And they had 3 games to earn an Olympic medal, and they lost all 3. And I just feel so bad for them that I can't help but root
Wow.
for them
I did
every
not
time.
know that. That is
Yes.
that is an interesting nugget.
Yes.
Man.
So immense pressure.
There always is, and that's the stakes are not higher in any athletic competition in the world. The World Cup maybe, which will be next year, is the only other that compares really. Like we have the World Series, that's nice and all. We have that every year, and you're not competing against, we call it the entire world. You're not actually competing against literally the best in the entire world in any competition. Like you spend your entire life to have, if you're like one of the best athletes at your sport, 3 or 4 chances to compete, just based on the length of your athletic prime, and
If
it
that,
being
yeah.
every 4 years.
And I think,
right.
yeah, one of the things is when you just think of baseball and Team USA, you're just like, yeah, they should be the ones getting gold because of that. But if you think of the teams that won gold, silver, and bronze, baseball, those are those are 3 of the most popular baseball countries out there. So it makes sense that they all did it. And one of the things I like most about the Olympics is you're not really mad that like in traditional sports you're gonna be mad that X team finished above your team. Like I can't be mad at like Japan for winning that game, or like upset that Japan won the gold, because like I said, they played their hearts out. They were on their own home turf. Like it's great for them. If you do want to watch like the A team for Team USA, it's probably going to be in the World Baseball Classic. And that is a great event, but it's a little bit more centralized just because it's just baseball.
Yeah, that's a great one too. I can't wait
Yeah.
for that to return as well. But
That is also one of the most electric atmospheres I've ever been in.
Oh my god, that just robbing that home run.
I was in the bathroom. I was so mad.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, to wrap that whole piece up, like great job on the baseball side of things, but also just incredibly fun Olympics to watch. No thanks to NBC, but the athletes in the competitions
when you could
that were
figure out
had.
how to watch it.
Right. Just I don't know. Nothing gets to you in the emotional department of sports like watching Olympians claim their glory. It really is something else, and it's 2 straight weeks of, or it's longer than 2 weeks. It's just
about
it's
2 weeks.
yeah, but it's constant, because you're rotating through all these many different sports, but the common theme is that these are individuals who put so much time and effort into perfecting what they do, and seeing the ones who come out on top, and just the outpour of emotions after like the most intense athletic exhibition just ever is it really doesn't get better than that. It's cliche, but
No, it absolutely
yeah.
doesn't. These people are, like you said, they're putting every second of every day into training for 4 years, if not more. For some of them, like gymnastics, dance, diving, like a 6-second routine. Like the amount of pressure that goes into just doing that, and if those 6 seconds go any bit wrong, like that pressure is intense. So just watching uh I was watching track and field. The guy like was running around not believing that he won, just because like I think that's just the flood of emotions and just all of his hard work over the last 4 years and his entire life to get there.
Yeah. Lots of different ways to say it, but the sentiment's the same. It was a great Olympics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's about the spot where we're gonna wrap it up for today. Actually, we kind of let off the show with the weirdest of the weird stuff,
I do
being
have
Brock
one weird
Holt.
thing.
Well, okay, yeah, let's hear your weird thing.
So this is something that was brought up by Angel's Twitter earlier today. So I know what you guys think of Angel's Twitter, but it's a bit odd. MLB.com on their app, it has like obviously the game for tomorrow. It has the starting pitchers. It says Toronto Blue Jays lineup is currently unavailable. The Angels lineup: David Fletcher, Shohei Ohtani. Okay, makes sense. Then they have Mike Trout and Jared Walsh, who have not been announced that they're healthy. Mike Trout, we haven't heard anything about.
It's like a WWE style like return.
Yeah, like Jared Walsh.
That's my
like
trance music.
They did say Jared Walsh could. They're hoping Jared Walsh could be activated tomorrow, so like that might be a possibility. Then they have Justin Upton. Okay, fine. Jose Rojas, he hasn't been called up yet, and so at least, but like by that logic, they're acknowledging that Anthony Rendon is hurt, and then the rest of the lineup is just normal. Iglesias, Stassi, and Lagares. But what is Mike Trout coming back? And there's
Did they?
and like I'm very confused. Is Mike Trout getting activated and MLB just decided to tip us off at like 10 a.m. today, and then Jared Walsh too, and then like I don't get it. I don't get it. I need answers.
I'm gonna go ahead and say no. I'm gonna say that's a clerical error in just how they.
Well, no, so wait, this is for
submit the lineup
game
previews.
tomorrow. You're saying?
Yeah, against the Blue Jays.
So the first game tomorrow is a makeup game from when they played. I think they were in Buffalo, or they might have been in Dunedin, in Florida. So that is perhaps why the roster stuff is wonky.
Well, that might be.
I mean,
why.
but then why is the Blue Jays lineup unavailable?
I don't know. MLB is not the best run organization top down. So
I will say I don't expect Mike Trout to be in the lineup, but
Yeah.
I just found that really strange, and I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I just wanted answers.
No, that is weird. I'm pretty sure no teams do that, by the way. Actually, no. So there are teams that just throw out a roster of players as their previewed lineup, and it's not it at all. But I don't know. It's a weird clerical error thing. Is all you
If
can
I
chalk
wake
up
up tomorrow morning and Mike Trout is in the lineup, I don't know
then that'll be
what I will do.
Then that'll be a weird topic of discussion, for sure.
Yes.
So I don't know. It is definitely weird. The one other weird thing that really could have gone a different direction, and sparked a lot of outrage, before being reined back in a little bit as to what was going on, was at a Rockies game between the Marlins and the Rockies. There was one of the on-field mics that picked up a fan, to what everybody thought at first was saying a racial slur, towards, I think Lewis Brinson was up to bat for the Marlins.
It was Brinson, yeah.
Yeah, and after investigating, and I'm sure trying to figure out what the heck was going on, determined that the fan who was sitting behind home plate was yelling over to the Rockies mascot, whose name is Dinger the dinosaur. Just yelling at him, trying to get the mascot's attention. And there's like camera angles of this too, where you can see the particular fan like seemingly waving over towards the dugout where the mascot is, and you can hear it. It's one of those things you can hear it both ways, just because it's a background live mic on field. But my God, there was a lot of outrage, and then it was like, wait, what the heck is that? That is some weird. This is a lot of weird stuff going on here. some Curb Your
Yeah, I mean, well,
Enthusiasm
I think
level
I did see a tweet
coincidence.
basically creating a Curb Your Enthusiasm scene out of it.
Yeah.
But um, I appreciate the swift outrage that came from what everybody
Mhm.
thought they were hearing initially. I appreciate that it was pretty one sided. Nobody was defending it, and then it once it kind of became not evident, but it was like nobody really identified him right away, and it's like I think it's good to know that he didn't just get away with this.
Yeah, I definitely think that on one hand, like Ray said, I appreciate the swift just outrage about it, because if that does go on at a major league stadium, not just at a major league stadium, anywhere, that's not okay, and there should be outrage and like a public effort to stop that frame of mind, stop those actions.
Yeah.
But poor guy. Like this is a good lesson of how social media can take one person's assumption and just run off with it.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that I don't, like that like I definitely think I definitely appreciate the fact that the people who did start, like who did report it, and like it's not just fans, but also like beat reporters who did report it and say some stuff of like ban the guy, blah blah blah. They came out and apologized today on social media. Like they came out and said sorry for my part in it. I ran off with it and spread some spread some things that weren't facts, and like the public outrage was absolutely correct for what was thought, but I really hope that guy didn't get like a ton of threats at the game.
Yeah. Well, so the one thing is probably at the game, if you were just there in person, you could probably more clearly hear what
Yeah,
he was saying.
the audio I guess is not the most
Yeah,
clear,
you're picking up like a
which makes
catcher's,
sense.
like a around the catcher home plate area mic from the stands for one.
I mean,
It is
also
very very
it
much
would have
like an
been more
open shut
concerning
though.
because the Rocky statement last night announcing the investigation into it was like, we have not identified the fan who apparently said this racial slur. And it's like, that's more concerning if he actually did say it, because then nobody called him out on it. Security did not do anything about it. But the fact that it was more mundane and, again, something better safe than sorry, I guess, on this. It all worked out in the end. And I appreciate people apologizing for misreporting, I guess. But also, I'm glad that this guy wasn't identified right away and like just shamed.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't actually get banned from banned for life from a baseball game for that. It's pretty open shut case. Like people thought they heard something that would have just been like completely outrageous and unacceptable, and then it's like, okay, wait, hold on a second, let's make sure. Okay, he didn't actually say the thing that we thought he said. Okay,
And
sorry. That's about how the whole exchange went and should have gone. So we're good.
I know this is kind of silly too, but good on the Rockies for actually investigating instead of just taking public opinion and watching the videos and just trying to find the guy. Like good on the Rockies for like speaking with and like trying to figure out what actually happened, what he actually probably like could have said, what were alternatives to that, instead
Yeah,
of caving to all that public pressure on social media on something that wasn't the case.
super straightforward at the end of the day, but definitely really weird. And I think the Rockies might be trying to rebrand their mascot. Maybe we'll rename the Rockies mascot next week if they don't by then.
I saw a
That's the biggest
tweet.
takeaway, I think.
I saw a tweet earlier today that said it had a picture of a Google search that said that, and in the Google search it was racial slurs that sound like insert team mascot name here. Uh, and it said, "This is what every MLB front office is doing today." Just like
It's a thought exercise that that you might want to brush off and make sure passes the test here and there. It's not one that you think of very often. So
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. That's gonna wrap it up for our podcast today on a very weird note indeed. But yeah, we'll be back next week. And if you are still here, thank you very much for sticking with us. We appreciate it. If you liked it, make sure to leave a rating or a review of our podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, then leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more podcasts and other videos and random things that we'll be doing moving forward. And once again, at Beat the Shift BP on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's the best place to get in touch with us. We want to hear what you have to say about the wild card races and everything else that we talked about today. So make sure you follow us there. All right, that is going to do it for today. Thank you, everybody, one last time. And as always, Farbod.
Peace.